I was recently asked if I would revisit the subject of Finn and Huntress Wizard, given the new episodes that we are getting of Fiona and Cake, and a whole lot of great Finn and Huntress Wizard and cake? All the cake. All kinds of cake. But yes, it is time to return to the subject of Finn and Huntress Wizard because, well, I thought that this was kind of a done deal. I didn't think we were ever going to return to these two characters, and yet here we are in the second season of Fiona and Cake, and I'm a little bit late with this because I definitely had to catch up with these episodes, and I'm so glad I did. There's a lot to talk about, but I want to focus specifically on something that I feel is happening with Huntress Wizard, and a very important lesson that she needs to learn by the end of this season, or else she might lose big. So, I'm here to talk about it all with you, here on Camille's Harem, a channel for novice authors, by novice authors, and because writing is an adventure, it's way more fun with friends, so come along with me as we talk about the latest episodes of Fiona and Cake. First off, I just have to say this. This newest season is taking Adventure Time's concept of the multiverse and is just exploding it. And not in the sense of destroying it, but it's getting so big, it's getting so complicated. And honestly, one might even ask if this season is actually juggling too much stuff right now, because we're getting so many storylines, so many relationships getting teased, so many big concepts and philosophies being thrown at us. It is almost overwhelming. But one thing in all of this is very, very clear, and that is this: Huntress Wizard is still struggling with her greatest weakness.
Did you know that a wolf's eyes are in the front of its head? This little buddy doesn't even know I'm here. Huntress Wizard only sees straight ahead. Eyes on the prize.
When it comes to talking about Fintress, or Finn and Huntress Wizard, most people have been focusing on how the nebulous nature of their relationship has persisted all the way to when Finn is an adult. But one thing that I believe is very clear within the first two episodes of the show is that Huntress Wizard loves Finn. And I think we have good reason to believe that Finn feels the same for her. So, because that's the case, I think the more nebulous nature is that people just have a hard time saying, are they actually together or not? In many cases, I think it's because Huntress Wizard is very private, and that Finn, despite his brashness and his way of invading people's privacy, has actually respected that. As a result, it's very hard for other people from the outside to really define their relationship, but it's very clear that these two love each other. And yet, while all this is going down, as Huntress Wizard is trying to save Finn from the poison that is in his back from the heart of the forest, it's very, very clear that she is going down the same destructive route that Simon did in the first season of Fiona and Cake. By fixating so squarely on getting the poisonous juices back from this eldritch bush deer to make a cure for Finn, Huntress Wizard has been blazing a path of destruction and exhibitionism across the multiverse. And as cool as that is, it immediately made me think of Casper and Nova from the end of the first season. That sad side story that Simon burned his way through just way too quickly, trying to help out Betty, and without realizing that he was so focused on himself and not what Betty would want, and by doing so he had ruined the relationship between Casper and Nova. Now, when I reference that, this might make people immediately think, oh crap, the solution is now to let Finn die and be with Jake. He even said in her hallucination that he was thinking of dying. Now, let's slow our lemon rolls for a moment. Prismo says that something far above his pay grade is right now going on in this season, and Bubblegum herself acknowledges that the poison which is killing Finn is also keeping him alive for some reason. The threads of destiny are being spun, but the real question is if Huntress Wizard will stop to reconsider them before she plunges even further ahead. And the most recent episode has her just kind of jumping around from place to place to place, trying to find the heart of the force within Fiona world, and she's just like, Finn, Finn, Finn. Eyes on the prize without taking in everything else that is around her. And we get to see some pretty awful nods towards where that might lead Fiona World in various futures. And think about this. We've been seeing all kinds of little ripple effects across Fiona World in general since Huntress Wizard has gotten here. And we know that more multiverse shenanigans are about to get underway. We're only halfway through the season. And like a system of roots where so many plants and lives are interconnected, HW is going to have to look beyond herself and Finn and see how everything interconnects and affects each other. That doesn't mean that she's going to lose her feelings for him, or at least I hope not, but rather, just like with Casper and Nova, there's a better way to go about doing things to obtain what she needs to. The quest is not yet doomed. But really, for Huntress Wizard's sake, she's going to have to learn that her actions do have consequences on other people, and that by being in another world, this is going to have all kinds of unintended consequences. We've seen from the trailer and from some promotional art that we are going to jump to other worlds, at least presumably. There hasn't been much of the different world of the week shenaniganery like what we got in Season 1, but we are headed that way. And Huntress Wizard needs to learn some very important lessons by going from world to world to world, but also by seeing the different possible timelines that are available within these separate worlds. Again, she's so focused on Finn and getting the cure for him that she's interpreting the Spirit Warrior's advice to fit what she feels is the best course of action going forward. And in so many ways this works for her because we see her as a very capable warrior throughout all of this. I mean, she goes from being blasted apart to finally getting her soul put into a seed and struggling as a seed and surviving against all the odds, thanks goodness to Fiona's tear, which coated her in all the saltiness. But hey, she got going again. So we know that she is very, very capable, but capableness is not always what is needed. Simon Petrikov was a very capable guy. We see him survive without magic for so long, and yet that's not necessarily the solution. The solution is to consider other people. Now, we're just going to have to see how this is put into practice throughout the rest of the season. I really have no idea where this is going to go. I keep getting surprised from episode to episode, and I'm really just along for the ride. Yeehaw! But one thing I do have to say as a writer that I really do enjoy in this season so far is how we've returned to the relationship of Finn and Huntress Wizard from a different angle. I personally would have been like, yeah, sure, we need to see some more adventures of Finn and Huntress Wizard together and just see their relationship in action. We are seeing their relationship in action, but from a very different angle, in that their relationship is in danger because Finn is dying. So we get to see what Huntress Wizard would do, how far she's willing to go for the person that she loves. Now, there's some strengths and some weaknesses to this particular approach. For one thing, we are learning a lot about Huntress Wizard, which is good. We already know who Finn is thanks to all the seasons of Adventure Time. We understand his story, but we don't really know Huntress Wizard all that well. So we're finally getting to know her own tragic backstory, and I think that we get a better understanding of what she meant by being an exceptional beast. She sees herself as an exceptional survivor, someone who's beaten the odds again and again and again, and she sees that. She saw that in Finn. That's kind of what brought them together. There's a lot of similarities between these two, and it's great to see that through her perspective. Personally, I think it would actually be stronger to have seen that between the two of them, learning that together, figuring that out together, because they do have great chemistry. So while it's really fun and engaging and insightful to get this particular angle from just Huntress Wizard and also from other characters' outside perspectives, it does rob us of the chance to see their chemistry in full motion. We only get the smallest hints of it in the earlier episodes. And this is because the rest of the season is exploring Fiona and her own journey as she's the savior of this world, and yet her life now is falling apart. And there's no one there who is willing to save her because life must move on. Sure, you saved us, yay, magical lady, but what exactly can we do? There's other things that need to be considered. Bills, work, other relationships, other powerful people. You no longer have the good magic stuff to save save us in a certain situation. So, you know what? Yay, we'll give you a 15% discount on your coffee and on your copies, but otherwise, yeah, no. So we get to explore, unfortunately, the very realistic reaction that the world would have to someone who saved it, which is kind of depressing, and that's shown brilliantly through everything that's happening with Fiona. Of course, Cake trying to be more independent and the adventure that she's going on, as well as getting more of Guy and Marshall and everything that's going on there. And then there's what's happening with Finn and what's happening back on Ooh, and oh my gosh, that's a whole lot to talk about. Like I said, this season feels like it's almost juggling too much. And if anything, that might be my criticism, is that this is so much stuff. I'm hoping that it's able to wrap it all up by the end, or at least give us some good answers to wet our whistles realistically and optimistically for a third season. But I feel like we've kind of been here before, where Adventure Time tried to bite off way more than it could chew. So I'm a little bit worried and concerned. But quickly shifting back to Finn and Huntress Wizard before I wrap up this video. Again, I really do enjoy that we're coming back to a relationship that I thought had just kind of been dropped. I still believe that it had just been dropped in the final season of Adventure Time because there was so much other stuff that people wanted to get to. They're like, fine, you know, Finn and Huntress Wizard, they're together. Their relationship is somewhat vague and nebulous, but you know what? They're both happy, so we're going to go with it. Besides, we had the Great Hunt episode, and that episode made it very clear that they both like each other. So, whew, don't need to worry about that right now. Let's build up to the finale. So it's great that we get to come back and enjoy their relationship in a new way and from a new angle in this season of Fiona and Cake. But when it comes down to actually talking about their relationship, I'll be honest, it's a little bit difficult to go into much more than what I already have here because of how this season has been structured. However, I do feel like we're still going to get even more because Huntress Wizard, again, this is all about her learning to widen her perspective, change herself in the way that she needs to in order to help out the person that she loves the most in the best way possible without donking up all these other worlds and lives in the process, and actually being one with the greater nature and connection of the multiverse rather than just being a huntress with her eyes on the prize and not paying attention to the rest of the forest or the world or the multiverse like she should have been doing all along. So that's something that I'm excited to see going forward into future episodes. I don't know if I'm going to break down each and every single episode as they come along because I already got enough on my plate as it is, but I will definitely be returning to Fiona and Cake and the adventures in this season because there is a lot to talk about, and I feel like we don't yet have the full context for a lot of the crazy stuff going on, so I'm excited for more, and I will be seeing you guys in a future Adventure Time and Fiona and Cake video, believe you me. But until then, if you'd like to support the work that I do here at Camille's Harem, please make sure that you like, share, and subscribe this video if you enjoyed it, and if you want to especially support the work that I do here, then please check out the books that I've published. Links for them are in the description below. Thank you so much for joining me on this crazy adventure that we call writing, and until the next video, y'all, juice.